So I want to hit on some topics on what it's like with, having everything on my plate, things that are going on all the time, having meetings scheduled nonstop, and how we're basically accomplishing what we're supposed to accomplish, and having all this pressure on us, and where it goes back to and what's the meaning. So I truly think that the level of success that I've achieved, which by all means there's greater success out there, but I'm happy with where I'm at. Do I want more? Of course. But I just want to explain is that everyone's capable of doing of what I'm doing. It's just that I have this mindset that I want to achieve what I want to achieve, and I have a reason and I have a method, and I just keep following it. And little by little, it's called the compound effect, and you're going to get there. It just takes some time. So I'm going to give some tips of what I do and how I'm able to achieve my success, and maybe the little of, but where I came from and where I'm going. I mean, there's a drastic improvement. And I think as individuals, if we just keep improving, whether you're a school teacher or a real estate agent or a police officer, if you just keep improving what you're working on to be a better person, to be a better employee, to be a better leader, whatever you're working on, I truly think that this is for you. So I start off every single day with gratitude and affirmations. Miracle Morning is a word that's a phrase that's thrown out there a lot. It's a book, amazing book. I suggest that you read it. But the premise is you have your miracle morning because your day starts right then and there. And if you set it up right, you can have a fantastic day. I actually think that your day starts the night before. So we all know what it's like when you don't have a good amount of sleep. We all know what it's like if you're hungover. We know what it's like if you didn't plan your calendar effectively. So instead of a miracle morning, let's start the evening prior and think about how you're treating yourself and how that's going to play into your next day. So one thing I focus on right now is that you get enough sleep, you track and measure, whether you use a Fitbit, a Whoop, or if you're just really good at making sure that you're getting your 8 hours of sleep, highly suggest for an alarm clock. If you have an issue with waking up, I would highly suggest getting something that has maybe a sunrise aspect to it. There's an amazing Google clock. If you Google sunrise alarm clock, you will find a million options. So just buy one because trust me, it'll work. And that'll help you alleviate those snooze aspects of not waking up on time. And that setting the alarm early, and really, the phrase early bird eats the worm or gets the worm, that is so, so true. Because the reason when you wake up early, others are not awake, they're not working, they're not messaging you, hey, do you have a minute? You can then go in and actually get your stuff done that you need for the day. When I'm prepping for my next day, I look at my calendar. Do I have any overlaps? Do I have time to commute from this meeting to the next meeting? Are my meetings on Zoom? Do I have all the calendar invites? Are they confirmed? I look at that stuff because then it sets me up for success for the next day. So I don't have to worry, hey, oh my gosh, I have to be over in this city and it's a 20-minute drive with traffic and I'm in an appointment until then. I try to stack all my meetings. And if I can effectively make that, then it makes the most of my time while I'm working. So then I can go back home at an effective hour and not have to be here till 9 o'clock at night. I know personally my best working hours are in the morning. That may be different for you. Find out what your strengths are. But I do know Miracle Morning does work for me for that. When I wake up, starting out with affirmations and gratitude, like we talked about, write down 3 things that you like about, what's going on, the affirmations in your life, what you're looking to achieve. And then also write down 3 things that you're grateful for. So, whether it's just the simple things like coffee, that's not the most simple thing. I absolutely love coffee. I think that's one of the most important things. Probably why I'm opening a coffee shop soon, which opens in Pacific Beach. There's a nice little plug. But the biggest thing is that you want to make sure that you're grateful for even the simplest things. Because, guys, I lived in a barn in Africa. I kid you not. I lived on a cot. I would make, they call it ugali. And it was basically like a potato. And I need to look it up because I haven't looked at this in a while. But you would mash this potato up. And you'd literally it was a liquor bottle. And you'd mash the potato. And it was like, it's not even a potato. It's some sort of root. And that was my meal. And so if you are not writing or grateful that for your coffee, or you're not grateful for your vehicle, however that is, like, you need to check yourself. We've got it really good here. For the people that just complain all day long, you're not my cup of tea. Like, figure your life out, stop complaining, stop watching the news, and move on. There is an aspect to being analytical and analyzing and wanting to make things better. I agree with that. But if you're not a solutions person, if you're not coming up with the solutions, then you have an issue. I truly think that it comes into the mindset, what you have out there, whether it's the food, the news, whatever you're intaking, it's toxic. So be cautious what you let into your life because it will impact you in a negative way. On the opposite, you can also have things, spirituality. There's a lot of people who, going to church or going to a group or going to meditation, these types of things, figure out what's right for you. And if that makes you a better person, that's what you should be doing. You should be doing more of it. I know that when I meditate or if I take time for myself or if I exercise, I come into work like 110 miles an hour versus if I went out the night before and stayed out to maybe 9 o'clock, because that's probably as late as I can stay out now. But if I do go out, like if I'm hungover the next day, and maybe not even hungover, just like you had drinks, that impacts you drastically. Or if you had fried food, if you're used to just eating, grilled chicken, that's going to change your body and it's going to change how you're going to have your work ethic and your work day. So focus on the things that matter. I try to really focus on those items and I track and measure everything that goes into my body so then I can go back and see how my production was. Another tip that I would suggest to you is that if you're not sure and you're like, how do people get so much done in a day? When you think you're busy, you're probably either doing work that you shouldn't be doing or you're not being super effective. You're going to work and you're chatting. You're not going there and just like implement. When you're at work, you're at work. You should be like constant. You should be back to back with meetings or client calls or prospecting, whatever you need to do, but you should be there to work. Get out of work when you're not working. I agree that it's fun to have a good environment at work, but you need to make sure your time is effective when you're there. Track everything that you do on a 15-minute basis. So for 1 week, I challenge you for every 15 minutes, write down what you're doing. Now, if that's having lunch, okay, were you having lunch with someone? If you're in a meeting, what was the meeting about? Was it effective? Do you need to have those meetings? If you're not having effective meetings or if you're just having meetings to have them, we got to cut that stuff out because we don't have enough time for that. Think in terms of like, hey, you can have all these ideas, but if you don't have time to implement or action items, that's a huge difference is that people will go to conferences or they'll go and they'll listen to webinars or podcasts and then they won't implement anything. People constantly ask me, what podcast do you listen to? And I'm like, I don't listen to podcasts. I don't have time. Not saying that it's probably the best thing. I know education is key and hopefully you're listening to my podcast, but I don't have time. There's times that I can do like Audible or I'll be listening in on something, but it's only because I'm in a book club. It's not because I'm part of something. So, or just doing it to do it. If I'm going to read a book, I'm going to implement that book. So if you only read one book a month or maybe one book a quarter, that could be better than someone who reads 4 books a quarter because they may not be implementing anything. So implementation, is so important on that aspect. Always implement and then figure out what, like I said, with the 15-minute segments, what can you eliminate? What can you delegate? Use VAs to help you out. These are all little things that have progressed me to where I'm at today. What I did was key was when I started out, guys, I moved to San Diego. I didn't have a car. I had a moped. So selling houses with a moped, probably not that easy. Thankfully, we have great weather. But with the moped, I would park around the corner, fix my hair, and then go out on the appointment. I didn't let that hold me back. But there's so many times I hear agents that talk about their vehicle, about how they need to have a nicer vehicle for appointments, or that clients will think of them differently. Here's my key. If you don't have a nice car, you just tell that client, hey, look, hey, I know my car is not the nicest. The reason being is my mentor, hell, use me a name. You can say a guy I listen to, his name's Mark. He has a podcast and he says, you should not buy things that are going to be liabilities and cost you money. You should be buying assets like real estate. One of the key things I talked about, buying your first house, using an FHA loan for, getting a duplex, those kind of things. Listen to that podcast. Tell the person that, because that's truly what you are working for. If you do have a mission, you're not working to buy a new car. Like if your only mission is to buy a new car, then you need a new why. Like you need to figure out what you're doing with your life. If your mission is to, buy a house, to have a rental property, to have income producing properties that can sit there and generate passive income, there's a reason there. So then you could provide things that are better for your family. Maybe be the first person to help maybe your niece or your nephew go to college and pay for them so they don't have to have student loans. Think outside of your own self and then have that reason why. That'll help you out a ton with achieving success. When I go back to is like making sure your surroundings are good, making sure that the people you hang out with are good, meaning they build you up. They're not maybe pulling you down. They're not toxic. This could be even family. I'm not saying cut your family out, but maybe the time spent with them and how you allow them to impact you, make sure you're aware of that. It can cost you a lot. It can cost you a lot of time, a lot of money, also a lot of guilt. Maybe you're feeling like you can't work as much because you need to go help something with someone. Remember, take care of yourself first. Once you get your stuff in order, then you can help others. If you're constantly helping others and that's all you're doing, it's hard to have a stability in your life to where you can feel that you can take care of more. Once you got your foundation of your stuff done and your rentals cover all your income, you can go and help a million people. You can go and do so much more. You don't have to have everything in order. I'm just saying your baseline covered. Once you get your baseline covered, look around, find out who's helping you out, find out who you could surround yourself with better to maybe help you get to that next level. But it all starts with who you have surrounding you and who you're working with, your mindset, why you're working that hard, uh, and journaling, like jotting down what you're doing. It's not like a one stop solution. It's a combination, and I have learned more from my peers than I've learned probably from any education, any public or any of the stuff that I've gone to online. Like my peers are where I am, or my peers are why I'm where I'm at. Is the coaching and the surrounding yourself with the right people. That's helped me out a ton. So all in all, I mean, it's kind of a complex subject of how you become successful, and I don't by any means think that I'm like the guru of it. I still have struggles, but I think for the most part, you can be sitting pretty nice with just following some simple steps. So listen, jot some notes, implement. It's all about implementation. So get back to the basics. We all think that there's like some crazy solution to becoming wealthy. The get rich quick, it works for some of you, but you know what? There's a lot less people out there talking about the get rich quick when it's not working. Those Instagrammers stop posting. It's kind of funny. So just stay consistent, be a good human, help others out while you're on your journey, and then it'll naturally happen. It's not obviously a simple solution to becoming wealthy. By all means, I don't think I have it, but there's some key tips and tricks that I've learned from others. So if you have something that you recommend, comment in the section below. I would love to hear from you guys on what you do and how you stay consistent and what you're doing to achieve success.